It was overwhelming at the start. Just generally being in America at the start of it was crazy. You know yourself. It was just every day was something different. We rolled into camp, and as you do, you're looking around and all the different types of people. You know, with the Spanish, Africans, obviously the Americans, other Irish people, and near enough straight away, definitely caught my eye.
So how did you and Cal meet?
We met at a summer camp, 2019. He came all the way from Ireland, and I lived in New York. So originally, I had gotten there with my family, and then they dropped me off. The first person, obviously, I had known already was Fatima. Me and Fatima had to choose a group, whether it was the Americans or the internationals, and of course, we went for the internationals.
As I said, I wanted to work on the friendship at the start, and as I got to know her more, we had a particular day where we were laying out in the front of the grass area where we would play our sports and that, and she started telling me about her family, a wee bit about her past, and I did the same, and it was that sort of connection.
And that's just where.
There, just it showed me she obviously has a wee bit of trust in me,
Of course.
and I felt like I could confide things in her, and it just sort of built from there.
Yeah.
You know.
Got to talking with him, flirting. And then I think one day me and him were, before the kids had arrived, we were laying on the grass and we were just talking about our lives. And then I think at that moment I knew that I wanted him to be in my life, and I would do anything for him.
I felt, coming towards the end, I knew I was on a 3-month visa. You had to go back home or you could get in trouble. And Destiny was aware of it, and I didn't want to get in any trouble. Of course, but then we started to discuss what we're going to do.
Completely fallen for him.
Of course.
So, to hear that he had to go back home, I wanted to go with him. But I knew that I didn't have a passport at the time, that, my passport had expired, and that would mean that I would have to leave my life. My family were saying, be careful because, you just sort of met him. We were only dating for a couple months, and they didn't want me to get heartbroken and stuff like that. Of course, every family's like that.
Yeah.
But I was very gutted when he left, and I just knew, the only way I was going to feel better was if I got my passport and came to Ireland. And then we arranged it all, and then I was there in 2019, and we had a plan, but it didn't go out how we planned.
So after camp ended, we've talked about how you came over to visit Cal, and during your time when you were over here in Ireland, the pandemic hit, and which was really hard, I'm saying, because obviously nobody knew how to react to that. But for you came over from America, and you weren't planning to visit, but you were forced to move in, weren't you?
I was only planning on staying here for a couple months until we had him, something sorted for him. And then time went on, the pandemic hit, and I found myself sort of trapped, if it's the right word.
Yeah.
I hadn't much money then, and he was fully supporting me, and it's hard to be, surrounded by people 24/7 that's not actually your family. I originally came here for him.
Yeah.
And I had to live with his family and him for an entire year, so it was something that I definitely had to adjust to.
Of course. But it was hard.
The pandemic was very hard, especially the fact that we weren't allowed to go places. It meant that me and him had to truly make our bond stronger. I would say to him, let's go to the park for a walk. Let's go to the park for a walk.
Yeah.
And that's just the little things that I took full advantage of.
Yeah.
Because being in a home, there was just so many places you can go to get escape, and the park was my escape. When I found out that I was pregnant, obviously being 3,000 miles from my own family, I had a urge or a weird feeling that I knew that I was pregnant. I was a couple days late on my period, and I had immediately called my twin sister and told her, how nervous I was and that I had thought I was pregnant. And she goes to me, well, if you are, you have me, and she was super supportive, and
Yeah,
that's exactly
yes,
what I
indeed.
needed to hear at the time. And when we both found out we were pregnant, it was mixed emotions. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm very excited because I am gonna be ready for this. I know.
Yeah.
No matter what, this baby is gonna have a good life.
Pregnant. Obviously, very mixed feelings: scared, excited, nervous. But ultimately, I knew my life was changing. Like at that moment, it wasn't a small thing; it was a massive thing. So I knew, like, this is it. Like, you're gonna be a dad. So I knew, right, I'm gonna have to do what's best for her.
After a month of finding out that we were pregnant, he had proposed.
Right, and I was gonna pick up the courage and do it here. So I kept sort of dragging her about the causeway. As you know, it's quite big.
Yeah.
And Kenda sort of part wasn't too busy, and we were sort of looking out at the water, and I sort of turned her around. She was wanting to ask you something, and I just said, sort of, give me a wee second, and I give my phone over to another woman on our tour bus, and I go, she wouldn't mind just capturing a few images here, and I think she sort of gathered what it was. I'm not sure if I got all the words out, but
The nerves, yeah.
I sort of went over, and I think she sort of gathered what I was gonna do, and got down anyway. Had a wee bit of a speech prepared, and I would love to have been able to say more, but just in that moment, you can't get a word out hardly.
Yeah.
But I strung together a sentence or two, and she accepted. Obviously, popped the ring on, and like a nice big hug, and it was a real sense of relief, and got a wee round of applause and all from people watching and all, and it just really clicked. Everything went well.
My thought was, I want to go back home to have this baby. I would feel a lot more, a lot less stressed.
Of course.
Because at the time I was very overwhelmed with a lot of things. I was stressed out, and I just wanted to go back home where, my family I knew would be 100% take care of me, help me with this baby. Not saying that his family wouldn't, but
It's
the
your
environment,
family.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you want to go over and visit, or
Uh,
what was your plan then? Were you just gonna?
well, the initial plan, obviously, as I said, was to go back to America. I got turned down for the visa. They reckon didn't have enough home ties, so whenever that happens, that means you can only then go over on a visa.
Okay.
As we're from Ireland, we're entitled to travel without visa for a holiday, but because I was denied a visa, you can no longer do that. So that was totally out the window for me. That if I went up and asked for a visa to go over and watch my fiance give birth, they know rightly I was not coming back home, so I had no chance of that happening. So I didn't even go for it. I knew for them to get the best of the best, to go back to America and give birth, and I knew, I believed her that she was going to come back with the baby, and I told her I would get us a place of our own. Like, I wouldn't be going back to the family home. So under them terms, she was obviously, yeah, if that's the case, I can't wait to come back and all, like. And I remember just being on FaceTime, and she was obviously going through the labour and that there. Just wee scrawling baby crying his eyes out, and I was like, no way. Well, whenever you first arrived at the airport, whenever I seen them coming through the airport doors, I was just couldn't believe it. Such a relief finally have them back in Ireland, It just took me by like a wave.
If it wasn't for him, I'd be very stressed out, but we definitely make it work together where both of us have an easier life.
Just taking each day as it comes. We're not really sure what the future holds because we make plans all the time and don't plan out, but
Of course, yeah.
hopefully one day we'll get back to America to
I
live.
think we definitely just
Yeah.
want to be with each other. The
Be with
point
each
is
other, yeah.
just spend as much time as we can.
We're just going to build on the relationship as a three now.